What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 46. It's our double striker episode, our Maxi plus Giassi episode. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's still on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud. We call him E, a.k.a. E. James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew, EC, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. Midweek here. Austin FC 2 is in the middle of an absolute beatdown. Up 3-0 in the first 20 minutes over North Texas SC, a.k.a. Southern Oklahoma SC. I'm hoping that result holds so I can brag a little Zestradamus, put in the call for the 3-0. Didn't think it would happen this fast, but good vibes. I'm feeling them all the way down here in South Austin from the pitch. But how are you feeling, my friend, now about 2.5 days away from being back at Soccer Church?
Oh, I'm feeling great. Feeling so good. Went to bed last night, was thinking about Saturday, was thinking about being back. Got super excited. Probably got a little too excited, stayed up probably a little too late. But then we jump on here. We get to see FC2 boys doing their thing up 3-0. I fucking love that team.
Yeah.
I fucking love our actual club as well. And I'm just super excited for Saturday and to get 3 points.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will remedy something I said from the last pod. I'm bored. This is a must-win game.
Nice.
Because I don't want to listen to these fucking clowns anymore, man. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to start asking people for addresses so we can send them some red noses because you got to dress for the job you want. All right? Fucking. Oh, yeah, must win.
I got no arguments there. And I will say, new lighting situation for you. Rearrange the setup there. We'll work on getting you some good lighting. I know the people tuning in on the YouTube want to see your face. But let's go ahead and jump into it here. Previewing the Vancouver match coming up this Saturday at Q2, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. As I think all but one of our home matches are this year. As we do, let's go through a little bit of the history here. Kind of surprisingly to me, obviously I remember these matches, but maybe I've just put them out of my mind. We do not have a good track record against this Vancouver team, despite how mediocre they have been or across the 2 years that we have watched them come to Q2 and us go up to BC Place and really not have a good time. First meeting with the Whitecaps was actually at home, August 18th, back in that 2021 season. Austin FC takes the lead on an Alex Rain header. I believe that came off a corner. And then 2 second-half goals for Vancouver. They get the 2-1 road win. 2 weeks later, September 4th, 21, go up to BC Place, score first. I believe that was a Dominguez to Driussi goal, headed goal right before half there. And then we see Matt Beasler get the unfortunate career-ending concussion in the second half of that match. And Vancouver capitalizing, I believe, for their first goal there when Austin was a man down as Beasler had come off the field. And then Austin gives up the winner. So both 2-1 losses in that first season. Then last year, the home match 3-0 win, that was a much needed win right around that time, I think, where we bowed out early in the Open Cup. So we saw the team respond there with the big 3-0 win. I want to say that was a Maxi Urruti brace in that game. And if it wasn't, at least I have I have good memories of Maxi in that game for whatever reason. So
there you go.
I don't have good memories of the October 2nd match last season, a 2-0 loss at BC Place. I believe we did see Danny Pereira go north of the border in that one with whatever special permit he got. So hopefully when we go up there later this season, we get to take Danny with us once again and hopefully get our first result up there against Vancouver. But they're coming to Q2. And again, like you said, like I insinuated on Sunday, and now you're with me. I think just for the psyche of this team, this is a must win. But we'll
Yeah.
talk about predictions and that sort of thing here in a minute. Vancouver, you and I were talking about last night, as that game was going on with Vancouver in the second leg of their CCL matchup against LAFC. And LAFC continues to just steamroll through their schedule. Another 3-0 win. Of course, this one was in LA after the 3-0 LA win up in Vancouver last week. LAFC, 11-1 goal differential over their last 5 matches between the league and CCL. We'll talk about them later, I think, in the betting segment, El Trafico this week. But on the Vancouver side of things, in the league, obviously bowed out, which I think was the largest aggregate loss for an MLS side to another MLS side. I think there was only one that was bigger in the past. I think Toronto was involved in that. I think it was 7-0, whichever the two. But just to illustrate how much of a historic ass whooping that was that LAFC put on Vancouver, with the Austin FC 3-0 sandwich in the middle there. Vancouver in the league, though, sitting on 9 points from their 7 games. So again, one of the teams that has not had their bye week yet. That's the majority of teams at this point of the season, sitting on 2 wins, 3 draws, and 2 losses. But another thing you and I were discussing kind of before we hit record this evening was who they've played to get those results. Because I don't personally think that 9 points is all that impressive. I'm not saying that they're a bad team. Like, I don't think they're bottom 2 or 3 in the conference. They're generating a lot of chances. They've got 11 goals scored. But they did have a 5-0 home victory over what I think is certainly the worst team in the league at this point in CF Montreal. Montreal gets an early red card. 5 goals pour in for Vancouver after that. So bolstering their numbers a little bit. Started the season with losses at home to Salt Lake, on the road to San Jose, 3 straight draws, home against Dallas. I think that's a good draw. I think.
You'll take that.
Road LA Galaxy 1-1, road Minnesota 1-1. Okay, Minnesota's been playing well. The Galaxy have not. But I think one thing you touched on, and as I throw it to you to talk about your impressions of this Vancouver team, only once in their 7 matches have they scored more than 1 goal. So again, I think maybe in some of those games underperforming their underlying numbers, because they do appear to be a team that's creating a solid amount of chances, just maybe not converting. But XG doesn't matter. The G is what matters, right? So no more than 1 goal scored in 6 of their 7 MLS matches. How are you feeling about Vancouver coming into Q2 on Saturday?
I'm feeling confident. Like you said, I mean, you really just kind of broke it all down there. They're not these 9 points can be a little deceptive here this early on, especially with the result at Minnesota and like what that actually means for the quality of this team. I do remember the game last year and being just incredibly frustrated watching Austin up there in Canada. This is they still got a Jersey Shore Benzema here?
I don't think. What was his name again?
I can't remember. I'll remember Jersey Shore Benzema.
No, I'll find it. God, what was his name? We should remember that.
It's like an Italian name, but look, for the psyche of this squad, you have touched on it. We need 3 points in this game, and I think we're going to get it done. Again, the loss to LAFC last week, we can see what that squad just did to this Vancouver team. So, I don't feel too terrible after the LAFC loss. We lost to a better team. So I think we can turn this ship around here versus Vancouver. Coming down. Hopefully it's hot as it can be. Let's turn it up. Let's get a little bit of that global warming going. And get these 3 points here. Looking at their stats a little earlier, their leading scorers got 3 goals in like 170 minutes, which is pretty impressive. But other than that, a lot of shots just created, you said. Doesn't look like they're putting many in the back of the net outside of versus their rivals up there in Canada. So I feel good, man. I am interested to get into the lineup and see what we're going to be working with and what coach goes with here, because I think there's a lot of room to tweak this and put something out on the pitch that particularly can attack this Vancouver defense.
Yeah, Simon Betcher, the guy there up top with 3 goals. I believe he was a standout on their next pro team last year. So maybe a good example of, the best potential outcome for some of those next pro guys coming up to the first team in the future. They've got Julian Gressel there. We talked about, we know Ryan Gauld, he's on the best ball team. We talked in the offseason about their acquisition of goalkeeper, the Japanese goalkeeper, Takaoka out there. I believe his first name is Yohei. So I apologize to Takaoka if I got that wrong. But like you mentioned, they don't seem to be extremely potent on offense. And by the way, Jersey Shore Benzema, Lucas Cavallini. Now with Tijuana in Liga MX. So I guess potentially we could see him in Leagues Cup if the bracket works out the right way. But I
watch Gauld have his best. Watch Gauld have his best game.
Don't say that.
Right? Like he hasn't scored.
I know. I do think that there's an interesting wrinkle here with there's some U.S. games next week, and I think because it's not an official international break for FIFA, that it's going to be mostly MLS guys, and the reports are that Julian Gressel is going to be called up for those games. So I'm not sure if maybe he gets rotated out this weekend. He only played half the match last night. A bunch of these guys against LAFC last night were rotated. I mean, you see at halftime, Veselinovic, Caicedo, Dahome, Ryan Gauld come out. And then some other starters, Gressel, Tristan Blackman, Pedro Vite come in at the half. So a lot of these guys got some pseudo rest in the midweek match. So, but I think Gressel is the only one that I would not be surprised to see him either sub out early or come on late in the match, just looking ahead to what he's got next week. But then I think also Vancouver has a bye, I think, next week. So maybe they just don't worry about it at all because he's going to have that extra week off. But just something to look for in their lineup when it comes out on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Austin FC, the important team in this equation here on Saturday. Before we get into, any lineup predictions or desires, maybe a little bit more talk on why we think this is a must win. I'll let you go first. Like what brought you around in the last 72 hours?
I think how you prefaced it with this for the psyche of this team, we really need a win right now. And just as badly as we need a win, a draw or a loss here would be so demoralizing for the already demoralized locker room that we're working with here. And look, if we play our game, we're just better than this team. You know what I mean? Like it's the same argument that we made post LAFC was that they played their game and they're a better team than us. And more often than not, the better team is going to win the game. I know that can be, a little bit, it skews a little bit more in soccer just because scoring can be so rare and so important. And then the game completely shifts in dynamic in terms of the defense moving backward or forward, whatever it may be, trying to stall. But more often than not, the better team wins the game. And we are better than this team. They have a game in hand on us when we're tied for points with them, right? Or no, they're 2 up on us with a game.
We got to get here.
Yeah. And again, Sebas do. I think we're going to see a big game out of him back here home. We went into the Lions Den last week and we got to hand it to us. It doesn't make us a bad squad. And this is a team that we're better than.
Yeah, like we kind of talked about on Sunday, I think just this upcoming slate of games, I would say like the next 4 games for me are a big measuring stick. And I don't think I'm fully pushing the panic button until we get to like the end of May, maybe after that Toronto match at home. Just because then I think we're enough into the season where if it's still going like this, then then I think I'm jumping on that bandwagon of, okay, we need to try something completely different tactically and figure some things out, but we should have Julio by then. We'll talk about Alexander is here. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously I'm with you on the must-win nature of this just for the psyche. It's clearly not a must-win in terms of the standings, in terms of making the playoffs. I guess if you're thinking still holding on to some sort of hope for like a supporter shield or whatever, then we've been in must-wins for a few weeks to try to keep up with, the pace of those top teams. So I don't think even the most irrational of Verde and Black fans at this point, I don't think have delusions of supporter shield here anymore in 2023. So again, it's maybe I'm just being selfish that it's big for my own psyche that we can have some good things to talk about for a while and not have to be, rationalizing everything and getting into arguments with each other on social media, whichever platform you choose to use. We could all use the good vibes right now.
Absolutely.
So speaking of that, apparently Damian Loss just made a pretty nice save. Again, taking on North Texas SC as we record here. You mentioned the weather. If we can get it as hot as possible. High of 89 in the forecast right now for Saturday.
Okay.
Looks like around 84 degrees at kickoff. So I think for an April 15th match, it's about as good as we can ask for in terms of the weather creating a tough environment for our opponents, especially some opponents that play indoors up north,
Correct.
So let's jump into the typical lineup predictions and desires. How do you see the 11 being laid out by Josh this week? And does it jive with what you want to see him do on Saturday?
Well, let's start with the most controversial positions, as we always do here.
Yeah.
What I want to see is I want to see G back at the 9, and I expect to see G back at the 9.
Okay.
Just as G had not done anything to completely close that door in regard to who's the more full-time starter between him and Maxey. Maxey did not do anything in the LAFC game. Not that anyone really did anything particularly well in that game. But at this point it's interchangeable. We need one of them to turn something on. And,
right. It ain't going to be Will Bruin, right?
Yeah, exactly, bro. When we brought on Bruin versus LAFC and then watching them, or having seen them bring on Ilya and Vela, and no offense to Bruin, he just looks like a guy who drives his kids to play soccer.
Yeah, I mean he's from what he used to be in this league, he's washed at this point.
Yeah,
he's a third string striker.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
It was just funny. So I do expect to see G. And again, like I said last week, with G getting the start over Maxey, Rigoni hasn't done anything really to secure and solidify his position from Finley creeping in. And I think you could see Finley here. Yeah. It's either, to me, I don't think we're going to see Rigoni and Fagundes both start. One of those two.
Really?
I really don't think we see both of them start this week. Okay. It's going to be Finley for Rigoni, if that's the side. And then for Diego, man, he's in a funk, man. He's in a funk. And of all the people right now to be in a funk, should be one of the last people, because he just got paid and he just got taken care of, and he's seeing the best of you now. So I would not be shocked if he sees the bench. Again, we'll go Danny. Again, we'll go Owen. The makeshift of Alex and Leo is definitely not our biggest problem right now. So I anticipate seeing that again. I think you might see fresh Lima on the right. And then, I mean, I don't think you can start Lundqvist at this point right now. So probably Komanic again, obviously finishing out with Seba and Stuver there.
So Johnny G off the bench.
I think so.
Yeah. And he did come off early, or just came off the field, I guess you should say, which is something he hasn't done a ton of this season on Saturday. So certainly going to be some fresh legs if he is off the bench. With you on Giassi getting back in there over Maxey. I think it's an interesting conversation to have that I don't know if I have enough insight to actually have an in-depth conversation about like the merits of, like we saw last season, going a long period of the year where we run out that same 11 week after week after week. The fact that we still have, I think, at least 4 league matches, potentially 5, before we have that first U.S. Open Cup match, round of 32 in mid-May. It's an opportunity to try to find that 11 that we can stick with.
Okay.
But I guess just at this point, like, nobody's done enough to help us set that, what that 11 is. Like, there's, of course, like Driussi's going to be in there. Danny's going to be in there. Stuve is going to be in there. Leo's going to be in there. But, you know, there's 2 or 3 positions where it's like, okay, well, I don't have a lean on Maxi versus Jossie right now because both of them have been unproductive. Diego and Rigoni and Finley, like, those guys are mostly missing, especially over the last few matches. So I think like you kind of got to rotate based on what's going on in training over the week. And if a guy doesn't produce, then we next man up, or we, you know, man before last up. Like, it's like, I don't know what the phrase for that would be, but we know we gave Jossie a significant check. Obviously he's not a DP player, but like, I imagine he's getting a little bit more scratch than Maxi. And so like, I think for our, I want that big check to work out on the pitch. We know what Maxi can do, and so to get Jossie going again, I think having him back in there is what I want to see. But similar to before last Saturday, man, I don't care. I don't care if Maxi does start. I feel just as meh about him at this point as I do with Jossie. Because obviously Maxi has flashed off the bench, I think, twice this year, right? Obviously only got the 1 goal, but in his starts, he's been relatively flat, and Jossie, for the most part, has also been flat. So I don't disagree with you on the Rigoni Fagundes talk either, where maybe one of those guys does not start. I still want to see Rigoni in there, because if we are in the mud like we are right now, let's spin the tires with the guys that are getting the money that we really need. Because like at the end of the day, if Ethan Finley is the guy in form right now and he gets the start, fine. But are we going anywhere if Ethan Finley is the one winning that position throughout the year? And maybe he does. Maybe he ends up like the starter there going forward. But I just think we have to continue at this point still. And I know the patience has been gone for some people weeks ago. And my patience is wearing thin as well. But I still want to see Rigoni roll out there. And I want to see him and Diego out there with Seba and figuring this thing out. Like Danny Pereira said, like, we're still trying to perfect this. And whether or not he's talking about it now because his frustration is starting to, he's starting to let things slip. Like maybe that's the reality too. But I want to see what on paper we felt like our first choice 11 was. Of course, again, with Julio injured, we have to make some changes on the back there with Alex, but I want to see these guys roll out what, you know, the plan. And I know I don't think hardly anybody's going to be happy to, or nobody's going to be jumping on board with me, you know, with that very enthusiastically. But I think I want to see it happen again.
I mean, look, my approach with looking at this lineup coming up versus Vancouver was like, we cannot come out flat and then sustain that flatness. Because we've seen that coach doesn't want to go to a quick sub. And look, that's even a change that we can make. We don't have to overhaul this entire fucking thing right here. Maybe it's getting a 30-year-old Giassi off at the 50-minute mark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's a spark that comes from that point in time. Like, there's other things we can kind of tweak and maneuver here in regard to the staggering of these positions where we have 2 guys or 3 guys that we want to see. And if these guys aren't performing at the level that we expect them to, then maybe it's a quicker leash and we get them back to the bench a little faster and get a little, just some sort of spark. Because if we don't come out and get a goal in this first half in this game, we're going to be so fucking tight. And the stadium's going to be groaning with just like it's going to be painful. And to me, there has to be something, because like we said, we've created a lot of chances. But again, the only thing that matters is the G's.
Right. For sure.
So, yeah, again, I still feel good about it. I still feel confident that we're going to get 3 points here. And then I still feel confident that coach is going to have the 11 that should be out there. And we'll get the job done.
Yeah. I would also, like, in terms of the lineup desires, if we are going to bring Nick Lima back in on the right, and I'm fine with that in this matchup, let's try Johnny on the left again.
Okay.
Right? Like, if we can, like, let's have him link up with Diego over there. Like, I know a lot of fans have been calling for that pairing on the left to kind of resurface, and I don't hate that idea either. So, like, I do want to see some tweaks, whether it's, again, I know I just said, like, I would like to see the similar 11, but I'm more focused on the attacking front because I think most people fine with whatever combination we're running out shorthanded on the back four right now. Maybe we see, like, also, I think some people would be just elated to see any sort of tactical changes visible on the field, like little wrinkles, like not maybe. I know a lot of people want to go back to exactly what we were doing last year. You know, I would encourage people to listen to some of the outside voices, which aren't always the sharpest in terms of honing in on one MLS team, but like Moon Tower had David Goss on the other day. They had Adrian Healy on the other day, and there was talk about, like, look at last year. It was not working at the end of the year. I know we've talked about it, but that I think it was Healy that was pointing towards, like, the coaching staff knew they had to get some other looks into this offense. Like, you can still go back and change and run some more of the tactics that they did last year, switching it up throughout this season, depending on what type of looks our opponents are going to get. But we have to have more than one way to play. And that was evident at the end of last year. So just talking myself in circles here, clearly stressing about this one. Feeling the weight of the must-win tag.
I actually really like the Johnny G on the left here.
Okay.
Let's give Diego somebody who can deliver him the ball on the ground in space, as opposed to just a very anticipated defenses set cross from Kamanic.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And maybe that can unlock Diego a little bit. We know that Johnny gives a lot of good energy no matter where he's playing. So, yeah, I'm with that. Okay, I'll add that to my want list.
Okay.
Johnny on the left there.
Well, then let's, I guess there's only one thing left to do, and that is get into our score prediction. So I will throw it to you first, unless you want me to take it this time, but I'll throw it to you. How much is Austin FC winning by? Because we know it's a must win, and I know this is not the week that you predict an Austin FC loss.
It is not. I'm going to go Austin 3-1.
3-1. Okay. Yeah. I like it. I like it.
I think we get the first one in the first half. We're a little loose. We're feeling good about ourselves. The kind of, the pressure's off a little bit. Get that second one, and then, however the last two go in, they do. But I feel like we're going to get back on track a little bit here offensively, start humming.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we can only hope at this point. And I'm going to say 2-0. Clean sheet for Stuver. I mean, he has been still – I mean, I know he let in 3. We talked about those on Sunday. It's just work of the magician right now, the foot of Denny Bouanga. So I think the defense steps up here. I think Stuver makes some great saves again, as he's known to do. And I think we do, we get it going a little bit offensively, find the back of the net multiple times, and walk out of there feeling pretty good with a 2-0 victory. So very excited to see everybody, all of our friends at Q2 on Saturday. Because, at least walking in, we might be feeling the pressure this year, the different vibes walking into the stadium. But I always have that, the excitement. I'm jumping out of my skin usually when we're making that final, 100 yards down past the line of food trucks. And, you start hearing the PA announcer, you start hearing La Murga. Can't wait for it Saturday night. 7:30 Central. Couple pieces of news we teased a little bit earlier. Aleksandar Radovanovic we knew he was in Austin, right? We saw the picture he posted on Friday evening last week, and then predicted this morning that today would be a perfect day to drop the Radovanovic is in training photos. And with Zestradamus,
you're hot right now.
Hey, the communications team abides, dropping the Radovanovic pictures from training today, early this evening on the socials. So the fact that he's not just here, but in training, he's got his gear on. How soon do you think we could potentially see him? Because I think, the most optimistic take is on the bench this weekend. I don't think that's possible, just with the history of this coaching staff and how long Josh takes with some of these guys to get them integrated into the system. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the earliest we could potentially see him available for selection?
I make enough foolish predictions on that. I mean, so the visa's good. There's like that's good.
Yeah, he's here. He's here. We're good.
Yeah, we're good there. Shit. All right, I'm gonna get it spot on. He'll be ready to go in 8 days. 420.
Okay, there you go. So that would line up with the away match at the Galaxy next weekend, and that is my answer as well. I don't think we see him start, but I think we see him available off the bench next week. Again, a week. Yeah, I mean the game is on the 22nd, but I guess maybe on 420, Ian. They will drop you a post that says Radovanovic ready to go. He's, I guess potentially if we're flying out maybe the day after 420 for you, when they're flying out to LA, maybe we see him getting on that plane. Obviously, that would be a pretty good indicator if they're taking him on the trip. And I don't think it is the end of the world if it's longer than that, right? I think most of our prediction, most of the average prediction when we signed him, I think, was this guy's not going to play till May. Mm-hmm. And I think if he doesn't play until May now, then training's probably not going very well, and we may have a Tarek situation on our hands. But I don't think this is going to go that poorly.
Yeah, let's hope not. It's either 8 days from now or June 9th.
Yeah. All right. Other piece of news here. We knew it was coming, right? The Julio Cascante extension rumor popped up, 2 weeks ago, confirmed by the club on Tuesday. Julio Cascante signs a 3-year extension until the 2025 season with a club option in 2026, which matches up with the length on Diego's contract, on Seva's contract, and I believe on Johnny G's contract as well. So again, maybe a guy like Julio Cascante, as this club continues to build throughout the tenure of this contract extension, maybe he ends up not being a starter throughout, but at the very least would be, like, at worst, he is great depth as your third. And I think both of us, at this point of his career, perfectly fine with him being our second option at center back. So again, I guess on the positive side, we're locking in this core group of guys that we all think is important to the continued success of this team. And on the other hand, I see 2026 as a big year where, what are we going to do then? There's going to have to be a new guard coming in, I think, by 2026. So obviously we don't have to worry about that for a couple years, but 3 years down the line, this 2026 is going to be the time when this team starts to look a lot different from how it looks now.
Yeah. And I mean, with those contract situations, we got Julio locked up. He's 31,
29, I think.
29,
yeah, I think.
Okay. Diego.
Got the power of the internet right here. I can confirm that.
Diego, 30.
Diego's younger, man, because he started when he was 15 or whatever. Julio confirmed 29 years old. Diego is 28.
Holy shit!
Yeah, man. I mean, Diego has just been in this league forever.
Forever, yeah.
2011 was his debut with the Revolution.
Okay, well then I feel even better about it. I thought that they both had a little more age on them, just given their longevity with their careers, but yeah, shit. Okay, I feel a little better about that. I was like, damn, they're probably gonna be 33 or 34 at the end of these. Yeah. And what are we looking like? But no, I agree. And also just another guy for our culture. Julio has been a great voice for this team, especially on the pitch. I mean, we always see him out there yelling, talking, sticking up for the guys. And if he moves into a Udonis Haslem style role, at the end of that contract, we'll be good with it.
How about UD? 20 plus points in his final regular season game the other day.
Amazing.
You love to see it. And that ends our basketball talk for this episode.
It does it.
Let's move into last business day. Obviously, we've been given a little bit of live commentary on the Austin FC match currently taking place out at the pitch. It is halftime. It is still 3-0 Austin FC 2. So, again, if they score more goals, I'm not complaining. But sure. I would love the 3-0 Easterdamus hit. That'd give us some good vibes going into the weekend for sure.
I'd love that for you as well.
So I guess we could talk about the lineup today and any reactions we had to it. We did see the first change in the armband with Joe Hafferty getting the night off. I do think that's just rotation because, again, this team is in the middle of 3 games in a 9-day span.
Yeah.
So we saw Lawson goal again. Keller and Mazzaferro, the center back pairing. Czech Toure stayed in the 11, but he shifts over to the right in Hafferty's spot. Charlie Asensio back in the 11 on the left. And then, of course, with Hafferty on the bench, armband goes to Alonso Ramirez, who gets the start. Steve Louis-Jean, Valentin Noel, David Rodriguez, CJ Fodre, and Alfonso Ocampo Chavez. So outside of the one change with Hafferty to the bench and Asensio in the little shuffle there with the fullbacks, same team we saw out there on Friday. Pinot, Pinkham, Hafferty, Bobo, Micah, EJ, Valti, and Vela off the bench. And, of course, Eric Lopez, the backup keeper. I imagine with the 3-0 lead in another game coming up this Sunday, that we'll see all 5 subs here, I think, in the second half.
Yeah, that would be advised.
Yeah. Any other takes for you on the lineup there? I mean, I know it's very much the same thing we saw on Friday.
Love that team, bro.
Might be your favorite. Certainly is right now. Between them and the U15s, right?
Yeah.
So we do, I know we had the abbreviated North Texas preview. We are ready for the St. Louis City 2 preview here on this episode. That is 6 p.m. Central on Sunday out at the pitch. We'll see if we can make it out there. On Sunday evening.
Okay.
St. Louis City 2 last season was first in the West. They won the Western Conference Final, lost in the final 4-1 to Columbus, 15 wins, 3 draws, 6 losses on the season. They had appearances from Roman Berkey, Edward Lewin, Joao Klaus. A lot of those big names that we saw on the field in the first game at Q2 this season were playing, not a ton. They had like 3, 4, 5 appearances each of them, but still, those guys were playing games. Can you imagine being... Bro, can you imagine being Micah Burton and seeing Edward Lewin coming at you? You're taking shots at Roman Berkey. Like,
yeah,
it just seems like it wasn't fair last year.
No, that seems pretty aggressive.
I mean, I think
fucking Klaus and next pro
at Palmer Field. Can you? I mean, he doesn't look too dissimilar from Bjorn Golfson or whoever that was for Tacoma. They look similar ages, similar hairstyles there. Let's see. This season, 8 first teamers on the roster. None of them those type of names. It's just the guys who are on first team contracts, right? Okay. So nothing super crazy there. Also 8 academy players on the roster, which may play into may play a big reason or be a big factor, on why this team has not had a lot of success so far this season. We'll get into that in a second. I do, when I find the coaches with some interesting tidbits on them, I do like to bring it up here on the North End podcast. They are coached by Bobby Murphy, who was the director of soccer at St. Stephen's Episcopal from 2003 to 2016 right here in Austin. I'm very familiar with St. Stephen's, both as a kid going to basketball camps out there and then recruiting some of their players when I was coaching. So big Austin ties here for Coach Murphy, who went from St. Stephen's, his 13 years there, was a assistant at Orlando City, then twice the interim head coach there for Orlando City as they kind of cycled through managers. So, I mean, this guy from St. Stephen's to Orlando, and it's interesting because, Orlando ended up becoming Orlando City after Austin Aztecs moved to Orlando. So I wonder if there was some connection with the Aztecs and him being an Austin guy and him being brought out to Orlando. After that, he was the assistant at Rio Grande Valley, then Union Omaha, and now the head coach of St. Louis City too. So I was cool Austin connection there between us and Coach Murphy. So far this season, like I said, not super impressive. They did draw Tacoma 1-1, and we know Tacoma and the guys that they have available on their roster. So that's not a bad result, home or away, I think, getting a draw with those guys. But did lose to Minnesota 3-1. They also dropped a match to Houston last week, 3-1 to Dynamo Dos. So I think we know Dynamo Dos certainly worse than Austin FC 2. Sitting on just 1 point through 3 matches are St. Louis City 2. So with all of that knowledge, what is your score prediction for Sunday?
Listen, I don't know if I've said this. I don't know if I've said this, but I love this team.
Yeah.
And every time we have needed them to avenge us, the children, they avenge us.
Yeah.
So we're going to beat the shit out of this St. Louis City 2 team.
Okay.
All right. I'm putting it at 4-0.
Oh.
Smacking them. This is what this team does, baby. When Austin FC drops, FC2 picks us up.
Yeah. Are you expecting us do you expect us to need a pick-me-up on Sunday night?
Well, this is revenge from St. Louis beating.
Oh, okay. You're right. I apologize.
We lost to Houston. FC2 comes back, beats the shit out of them.
You're right.
All right. So I am anticipating a 4-0 win. Absolute destruction.
I feel like you're trying to one up the 3-0 prediction I had there, but it's okay. It's okay. I understand.
Competition, baby.
2 changes here, which again, everything we're talking about in terms of our live updates of this FC2 game, completely stale by the time you are listening or watching this. But we've got Vela in for Fodre and Bobasi on the pitch for the first time since coming back from his Ugandan national team stint in for Steve Louis-Jean.
Hell yeah.
I can't help but just like whenever I see him on the pitch, Louis-Jean, just being like, Steve. He's got the double E in there,
Steve's. Yeah. No, it's good.
All right. I will say 3-1. 3-1. I think, St. Louis pushing. They probably bring a lot of those first teamers with them here. So I think they do get one past our boy Damien. But I'll put in the call, Ian. No shirt over the head this time when he gets scored on. He's keeping it together, and just one gets past him, and we put another 3 up. So he's got 4-0. I've got 3-1. Austin FC 2 looking like they're going to stay unbeaten tonight at home. Hopefully that continues to be the case on Sunday. We did have some important MLS news today in the form of a trade. And, I know we've got Radovanovic here, but to know that this was out there, Inter Miami and CF Montreal have completed a trade. Miami receives Kamal Miller and $1.3 million in GAM. Miami sends back to Montreal, the U.S. youth national team center mid Bryce Duke and Costa Rican international forward Ariel Lassiter. Kamal Miller, the big win in this trade, I think. I think it's clearly Montreal getting a little bit younger there, getting Duke into their system, and Lassiter certainly no slouch either. But Kamal Miller is, one time for like 6 minutes he was an Austin FC player. I think we talked about him like when Julio went down and when we were talking Xavier Arriaga rumors and guys like that, like,
yeah,
man, I really hope we at least had some sort of discussions with them because being able to just grab Kamal Miller would have been a best case scenario. I think like he might have come in and taken Julio's spot. I don't know.
Do you have some Do you have like some comparisons for the two guys Montreal sent out to the Austin FC roster?
I mean, maybe Bryce Duke would be just Owen Wolf because, youth national team guy, like that level of talent.
Okay.
Lassiter, I couldn't tell. Like, it's not like I've sat here and watched a bunch of Ari Lassiter film. So I have no comparison there, but I think the Owen Wolf would be the most comparable guy on our roster just from the age and the talent level.
Okay. So what a possible something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's 22. Who came to Miami from LAFC a season and a half ago. 1 goal, 7 assists last year. So contributing to a team that went to the playoffs. They actually signed him to a new deal last month. So Montreal will have him under their team's control through 2025 with a team option through 2026. Sounds like an Austin FC contract. So, like getting help in their anemic attack right now, Montreal 3 goals for, 16 against in league play. So adding 2 guys, Lassiter up front, obviously, and Duke there in the midfield. But then, Kamal Miller on the other side, it's not like he's an aging guy. He's 25. He's one of the best center backs in the league. We know he was at the World Cup with Canada this past winter. And we know that he had, he wanted a new deal from Montreal, and they kind of balked at that in the offseason. So right now his deal is through 2024. Our buddy Tom Bogert saying that he thinks probably going to get an extension now from Miami, in his new digs down there. So, a significant trade, I think, in a league that doesn't have a ton. This isn't the NBA.
Yeah.
And so to see that happen here, a month and a half into the season was certainly notable.
Yeah. Would you say they called and they wanted Danny?
Fuck no.
They wanted Owen? Would you do it if they wanted Owen?
Nope, because those are the 2 guys we're going to sell in the next couple of years. Like those guys are going to bring us the 8-10 million. Maybe not that much, but probably not that much, but certainly millions. I'll say that. So no, I would not move them for Kamal Miller. And maybe we just don't have. Maybe that's why we couldn't get anything done with them. Why there was no traction, because we don't really have the depth to spare.
Well, I mean, it would be interesting because then you could slot Ring. Like if I said those 2 particularly because you said they're closest, but then you could slot Ring into one of those 2 slots, and maybe it makes you better right away, not long term. Obviously, also with Julio coming back.
Maybe we could have thrown Ring in that deal instead.
It seems like they wanted young players, right?
Sure.
So if you did, what if they did? All right, what it's CS?
Yes, trade machine. Okay, new segment.
Bonjour.
Okay,
it's Montreal.
Yeah, I figured that.
That's hello in French.
Yeah. Okay.
Bonjour.
A Duolingo lesson for the day.
We want Danny Pereira and Rodney Redis.
Yeah, see, I can't do Danny. Rodney Redis, he's promising, right? Like he hasn't quite broken through yet. Okay.
He's in the deal.
Okay, so
no to Danny and Rodney. What about Owen? I mean, Owen and Rodney.
How about Rodney Redis and CJ Fodre?
Are you talking to me on Bluetooth? Where's your phone?
Okay, yeah. I got my headphones in. I'm walking. I'm a busy man. Okay. Look, you got me on my AirPods, or I can send you to Claudio and he'll blackmail
you. Yeah. I mean, all right. Well, those are the only 2 guys we're really interested in. So we're going to trade with Orlando.
Okay. Miami. The other Florida.
Miami. Sorry.
That ends our first trade machine segment of the North End podcast. We got to do more of that going forward. That's,
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of trades, but we'll get better.
Not a lot of trades. Yeah. We got to figure out, we got to try to calculate how much GAM we got, how much TAM we got. It's tough. We got to prep more for our trade segment. Let's, we jump started the nonsense right there. Let's head into our typical Wednesday evening nonsense. Best Ball League update. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed by week 7. I think we did okay. The good guys here on the North End podcast. Our defense continues to keep us from total annihilation in the standings. We get 10 from Matt Miazga. I mean, Shaq Moore was no slouch with his 9, but obviously Miazga scores with the 10. Georgie, our MVP, 13 points. A lot of saves, an assist for Georgie Petrovic. Like, can we play him at forward?
Yeah, right.
Our forwards weren't like, we've had worse performances from our forwards. 6 from Vela, 5 from Enzo Capetti, 7 each from Lodero and Gald. 48 points for us on the week, which comes in third. Another strong week for both Moontower and We Are Austin. Moontower edges them out 56-55 to win the week. That's Moontower's 4th week, 1 through 7 weeks, dominating the competition early, but still not a lot of separation between them and We Are Austin, because those boys put up 55, and in the overall standings, just a 2-point margin between Moontower at 331, We Are Austin TV at 229, and Texas Ring of Fire last place on the week for the first time since week 1. And they still put up 44, so it's not like they had a huge dud on the week. They are still 17 points above us, 284 to our 267. Some of the standouts from those teams. Moontower gets 32 combined from Buanga and Carlos Heel. Another 9 from Joe Willis. Joe Willis has been as solid as can be to start the season. Very, very productive week for We Are Austin TV. Like, no explosive performances, but 8 each from Swiderski and Jesus Ferreira, 11 each from Lucas Zelarayan and Tiago Almada, 9 from Sean Johnson, 8 from Walker Zimmerman, and like the rest, both them and Moontower this week, very interesting scoring where they put up these huge weeks, but you look at the other guys that don't end up in the lineup that scores, and they had a poor week outside of those starters, but that's best ball. You have a great week if you get those 6 guys that can put up the big score for you. Texas Ring of Fire, again, 9 from Martin Paz, 10 from Christian Espinoza, 10 from Lucho Acosta, 7 from Diego Rubio, who's back from injury in Colorado. I think all 4, this is the first week where I felt like all 4 teams performed, to varying degrees. So the competition's heating up, man, especially at the top, still just a 2-point margin between Moontower and We Are Austin.
Yeah, that's 2-horse race.
For now. We'll be up there eventually.
Our horse has got 3 legs.
Yeah, well, we'll see if maybe Cucho, maybe Insigne comes back. Kai Wagner's supposed to be back tonight for Philly in their CCL second lap. Yeah, Insigne should be back soon.
He's still not back?
He's still not back. Still has not played.
What?
Yeah. It's tough for us, man. And I think Ricky Pooch is sitting on no goal contributions. That was our first round pick. Insigne was our second round pick, has not played yet. So, things could be worse for us, I think, given how the top of our draft went.
We got Kwame Brown.
Yeah, Darko Milicic in the second round. Let's get into the bets because we can have some good vibes here.
Yeah.
For the first time since week 1, a profitable week plus 1 unit. So nothing crazy, but we will take what we can get after how bad we have been at our picks. And hopefully we keep it rolling here. Recapping the week 7 picks. We missed on Minnesota plus 295. We missed on the Galaxy at Houston plus 180. Missed on Portland plus 255 and missed on the Red Bulls plus 115 and over 1.5 total. But 3 hits, enough to get us over the line in the black. Seattle minus 1.5 plus 165. Take care of St. Louis 3-0. Cincinnati at home plus 125. Take care of business 1-0. Then Dallas 1-0 on the road plus 210. Our big winner on the week out there at Miami. So let's keep it rolling here. Week 8. Let's try to get a little win streak going. Feeling real good about ourselves if we can pull this off. I'm going to start it this week. I know that Philadelphia has been the bane of our betting existence so far. I know they're coming off their second leg of the matchup against Lyon. But I'm going to pick on the Chicago Fire here because despite them having some bright spots, I mean, Kai Kamara braced last week. He continues to be immortal, it seems. Sheridan Shaqiri is not back yet for this team. So Union plus 145 on the road, similar to how I feel about Austin. Philly doesn't have the same kind of mojo, at least yet in this young season, that they did last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I still trust the system that they have, the organization, the depth, which that is different from what Austin FC is working with right now. And that's why I feel confident picking them plus 145 on the road at Chicago.
Okay. I like it. Look, we put our units where our mouth is.
Mm-hmm. Out of our wallet and into DraftKings pocket.
So we've been talking about Austin FC. Obviously, if you listen to this podcast, you're aware that we talk about Austin FC. We're going to take them versus the Whitecaps here. Minus 110 at home at the Q. We're feeling good about this team coming back from a deserved loss from a better squad. We're better than this Vancouver Whitecaps team. Like I said before, I anticipate a 3-1 win, and we're going to take them here at minus 110.
Yeah, we like that value we're getting now. We opened at minus 130, right? So to see it, like, clearly the betting markets, some people not keeping the faith with Austin, but at home here, again, like we said, if we don't get 3 here, we're going to feel some type of way. And so minus 110, we will certainly take that. Love the pick. I'm, of course, right there with you. We're taking a lot of road dogs here this week, just trying to kind of pick on some of these teams. Like, I'm going to go with Nashville plus 260 at NYCFC. To me, this is just a value play with those odds. Like, Nashville has been fantastic to start the year. They are, of course, a much better team at Geodis Park over the last 2 seasons than they are on the road. But I still cannot I have to have a certain level of respect for a healthy Hani Mukhtar who has gotten this team rolling. I also have respect for NYCFC and how they've improved seemingly week over week. Again, had a little hiccup down there in Houston. More than one team has done that over the last month. So NYCFC, certainly a formidable opponent here, but plus 260 on Nashville to get a road win here. It's just too high for me. Like, if this number was lower, I'm probably passing it up. But plus 260 on Nashville against almost anybody, it feels like just kind of too long odds for me to just overlook. So plus 260 Nashville at NYCFC. I'm locking that in.
Very nice. This next pick, we're not going to stray away too far from the cream of the crop, LAFC. Is this the rescheduled game now?
No, that one is 4th of July. This is at the Galaxy in Carson.
Okay, so I mean, this is technically a road game.
Technically,
this is not a road game for LAFC, especially when the team you're playing does not have a supporters group.
Yeah, and they will not be there this weekend.
So that's really, really not good. I don't see any reason why this LAFC team lets up off the gas here. They are absolutely rolling. What'd you say, 11-1 goal differential their last 5?
Yep.
That's fucking sickening. Galaxy, we keep saying they're going to turn it around. They haven't won a game. That, like you just said, Ricky Pooch doesn't have a single goal contribution. I don't see why any of that changes when you play the best team in the league. I'm looking at LAFC minus 1.5 and getting that at plus 360. Just really trying to capitalize on how good that team is and get that number up as high as I can, feel comfortable. So that's what I'm going to do there. Lock that in. LAFC minus 1.5 plus 360 over the Galaxy.
Yeah, I like that. Like, is it really that crazy to think that LAFC gets another blowout here, especially in a rivalry match where, like, they were able to sub guys out last night? We saw them start with pretty much a first choice 11, but Chiellini is going to be well rested. He did not play. Stipe only played a half. Cifuentes only played a half. Obviously, they subbed in for some of those starters. So I do like that pick and up in the odds for us there as we try to make a dent in the damage we've done to ourselves so far this season. Back to me here. I'll take another road team here. Give me the Sounders plus 135 in the Cascadia matchup against Portland. Portland continuing to struggle. They did get Evander back last week, came in off the bench. So I do think brighter days ahead for Portland. But the way that Seattle is rolling right now, I think they go away from the Leo Chu, Jordan Morris up top this week. I think we're going to see Rui Diaz back up front. We're going to see more of your typical, the assumed 11 here for Seattle. And I think they get it done in this rivalry match on the road. Plus 135 Seattle. Give it to me.
Love it. Both the games that we've just talked about here, obviously rivalry games. Obviously, the lesser teams here, Portland and the Galaxy, will be up for this game. But how much good can it do you? How much extra is it going to give you versus these really talented teams that are coming into their places to play? So I'm looking at here again another super talented team on the road. I'm picking on St. Louis again. Looking at FC Cincinnati, who is, they're ahead of LAFC right now points wise. Yes,
they are leading the Supporter Shield. Yeah.
So again, a team that's super hot. I don't see why that stops. This St. Louis team, I think they haven't. They're not. We've talked about it forever. You can't just keep getting back passes for goals here.
Yeah.
So again, we'll pick on them. I'm going to go FC Cincinnati and getting it at plus 180. Love it.
Yeah, I love it as well. I think that the time to pick on St. Louis is now.
Yep.
They've lost 2 in a row. Supporter Shield leading team coming into their house. I think once we get to the summer, starts to get hotter there. That press starts to be less effective as the season wears on. And, you're playing in 90, 95 degree temperatures outside there. I don't think we're going to get these kind of odds on a team like Cincinnati coming in there. I think it's going to be a lot closer to even. So I do love that call. We'll close it out here. We'll take a home team outside of Austin. We'll go late night on Saturday, West Coast. Give me the San Jose Earthquakes plus 110 at home against Sporting KC. Right now, Sporting KC, just 2 goals in 7 matches. That is the lowest goals for total in the league so far. Sporting KC, no wins, 3 draws, 4 losses. San Jose, on the other hand, looking like, to me, a team that is more bought in this year than they were with the previous coach. They've got Lucci out there. Obviously, they went through some issues as a team on the pitch last week with Dante Van Zier and his racial slur that he uttered, delayed the game, had 21 minutes of stoppage time. They end up finding the equalizer in that additional time. And I think now coming back home with SKC, who's just absolutely reeling. Like, I do think SKC starts to get some results here as the month of April continues on. But going out to San Jose, which is a tough place to play, we know we never won out there. I like getting plus 110 on San Jose at home this week, especially maybe galvanized after what they went through out in New York last week.
You got a San Jose direct link, right?
I do. Our buddy Thomas, who's been on the pod before, and I think going to come on again, talk some MLS betting and things like that with us. I was actually on his pod at Unabated yesterday, mostly talking hoops, but we did sneak in about 10 minutes of MLS talk at the end. We had to.
Very nice.
So yeah.
Does he approve of the pick?
He does. I mean, he agreed with me. Obviously, he watches every match for San Jose. He agreed with the feel that I've got from that team, that they've got a little bit of extra juice this year compared to last. And even missing a guy like Natan, who tore his ACL in the preseason, like, they're still getting results. 3-2-2 so far in their 7 matches. I like San Jose here at home. Plus money at home is tough to pass up when you've got the team that's only scored 2 goals coming to town.
I agree. Lock it.
Well, that'll wrap up the Week 8 picks here. Quick recap: LAFC minus 1.5. That's plus 360. Austin minus 110 at home. We've got Cincy. Was it plus 180 on the road at St. Louis? Philly plus 145 at Chicago. Nashville plus 260 at NYCFC. Seattle plus 135 at Portland, and San Jose plus 110 hosting SKC. Let's go. Back-to-back profit weeks. I can feel it. It's going to be a great Austin FC weekend and therefore a great pod weekend.
Correct.
So before we get out of here, just checking real quickly on the match out at the pitch. We are into, it's a very nice 69th minute right now out at the pitch. Still 3-0. Good guys. And, at this point, with 20 minutes to go, keep the score line. Give it to me.
Give
me
it
a 3.
Win started.
I mean, although if I'm going to get one prediction right this week, I hope it's the one for Saturday, the 2-0 over Vancouver. But I'll take any 3 points here on Saturday. I think most of us would. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you tuning in here, rocking with us on the North End podcast. If you have 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the pod, wherever you get your podcasts, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new episode goes live. And, of course, hit the like button on this video. Help us battle the algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the Dos Equis of the North End. The waters of the North End. And we will see all of our friends at Q2 on Saturday night. Back at home, baby. Let's go. I can't wait.
Let's do it.
All right. For E, I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.